Finding slope from 2 points, notes. Today's lesson is finding the slope between 2 points. This is critical when we want to write an equation for a line when all we're given is the 2 points. For example number 1, you can see the line and we have 2 points marked. All you need to do is count how you get from one point to the next. And we always start with a point on the left, and we always count up or down first. Remember, slope is the change in y over the change in x. So how far do we go in the y direction, and then how far do we go in the x direction? And we often write slope as a fraction. So for this example, to get from this point to this point, we'd simply count up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So up 4 over 6. And you can reduce that, of course, because 2 goes into both 4 and 6. So that reduces to 2/3. Either of those answers would be correct. For example 2, we start down here, and we're going to count up to this one. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's up 8, and then over 2. 1, 2. And of course, 8 over 2 reduces to 4. Either answer would be sufficient. Both of these slopes were positive because we counted up in the y direction. You'll notice for this next example, we're going to count down and then go over. So this means this slope is negative. So counting down would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 6 over 4. And again, 6/4 reduces to -3/2 because 2 goes into both of those evenly. So that one has a negative slope. Number 4 is going to have a positive slope because again, I'm going to count up first, 1, 2, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So up 2 over 8, which of course reduces to 1/4 because 2 goes into itself once and 2 goes into 8 4 times. Number 5, I would count down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. And I make the 2 negative because I counted down to get to that next point. And of course, this just reduces to -2 if you wish. And then this one over here, again, start on the left point, count down 1, 2, 3, which will be -3, and then over 3. So down 3 over 3, which reduces to -1. So from a graph, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is count from one point to the next. And if it's a fraction that can be reduced, you can reduce it. And don't forget, when you count down, that's negative. If you count up, that's positive. Now, from a graph, it's pretty simple. When you're given 2 points, it's a little bit harder. So now we're going to find the slope from 2 points without a graph. Remember that slope is change in y over change in x. So there's actually an equation for slope. We simply subtract the y's on top, and we subtract the x coordinates on the bottom. And we always start with the second point when we're subtracting. And the 2 points, you could call them x1, y1, and x2, y2. So the x2 and y2 just mean those are the x and y of the second point. And x1, y1 are the points from the first point. But you always subtract the y's on top, x's on the bottom. So for this one, subtracting the y's on top, I would subtract 12 minus 4 first. And then on the bottom, I would subtract 7 minus 3. Do both subtractions. 12 minus 4 is 8. 7 minus 3 is 4. Again, that can be reduced to 2. So the slope would be 2. Now, a couple things. It's always subtraction. And you can see these 2 points come from the second point, these two numbers come from the first. Let's do this example next. Again, I'm going to subtract the y's first, so 13 minus 6 on top. On the bottom, 10 minus 5. Always starting from the second point. Now, 13 minus 6 is 7. 10 minus 5 is 5. That can't be reduced, so I'm already done. Here, I'm going to subtract the y's on top, so 4 minus 4. And on the bottom, I'm going to subtract the x's, 8 minus 5. Now, 4 minus 4 is 0. 8 minus 5 is 3. And 0 divided by anything is 0. It means when you graph this line, it ends up being a horizontal line. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0. For this one, again, I'm going to subtract the y's on top, 8 minus 1. And on the bottom, subtract the x's, 5 minus 5. 8 minus 1 is 7. 5 minus 5 is 0. If you try to divide that on your calculator, it's going to tell you it's undefined, because there's no way to divide 7 by 0. These lines are vertical lines when the slope is undefined. So these lines are straight up and down. Now, sometimes some of the points will be negative, and this is what makes it hard. This is why we did that lesson on adding and subtracting integers. So first I'm going to subtract the y's. So negative 8 minus 4, and then negative 3 minus 2. So negative 8 minus 4 more is negative 12, and negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Now, anytime you end up with a negative divided by a negative, those cancel out, so it's just 12 over 5. Here's probably the hardest situation where all the points are negative. Again, now I just subtract the y's first. So I'd say negative 12, subtract, and then I would subtract a negative 10. And then negative 6, subtract negative 4. Now, when you have a negative and a negative right next to each other, remember that becomes positive. So this problem is really negative 12 plus 10 and negative 6 plus 4. So negative 12 plus 10 would be negative 2, and negative 6 plus 4 would be negative 2. And of course, negative 2 divided by negative 2 is simply 1. So you have to be careful when there's these double negatives, because that turns it positive. And for the last example, I'm going to do 18 minus negative 2 and 14 minus negative 8. Again, the double negatives turn positive, so it's 18 plus 2 over 14 plus 8. 18 plus 2 is 20. 14 plus 8 is 22. You can reduce this if you wish. 2 goes into both of these 10 and 11 times. So just be careful if you're subtracting or if the problem turns into addition. That's two things you need to look out for.